Hello and welcome inside the penultimate edition of the Scores Table for this season. My name is Brian Haenchen. He is Danny Riego. We are here to talk about the state championship games. But oh my God, that Class 4A championship. I'm still thinking about it. And we were recording this at 5:18 on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'm still getting texts about it and still people wanting to talk about it. I think you're right. I think this is recency bias, but I think that was probably one of the best 4A games that I had seen in a really long time. And I think it was because of the styles and schemes leading up to it, but it also had the headliners. Like it had Gilliard versus Rossworm, and like you can talk about how just the state championship as a game lived up. I mean, did Gilliard and Rossworm live up? I mean, my goodness, how good was that?
And they were the best players on the floor too. Like Vanessa was unreal, Grayson was unreal. And yeah, it's all Frank stepping up, Mackenzie Pierce hitting the threes. I mean, everybody did a little bit of something. That was just an unbelievable game. And I mean, the fact that Center Grove goes from down 11 to up 10 to hanging on for dear life with a 9-0 run over a 90-second stretch. Like, holy Moses.
Yeah. You know what a high school coach told me after the game is the player comp was the Indiana high school girls basketball version of Giannis. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. Like she was really good. And it's not just in the state championship game. She did that in the semi-state championship game. She did that in the regional game, whenever that was, I guess, Pendleton Heights, Franklin Central with the ankle injury coming back. Like the season that Center Grove had, like it could have gone two ways after the outcome of the game. Like we could have been talking about, where does the 26 class of Norwell not rank, but like, how do we frame that in historical context? And we still will, just because they lost that game. It doesn't remove any of the great accomplishments that they had. Mm-hmm. But I beg the question to you at the outset of the show, like, is that one of the best individual seasons that you've seen? I mean, they went 29-0, have a bona fide Miss Basketball candidate. They played in the postseason, really good basketball teams all the way through, which answers all the questions from a strength of schedule perspective. What's your reaction to just the Center Grove season as a whole?
I think it's a postseason run that really elevated it. You know, because they had the good game against Brownsburg. Like that one stands out, the Bloomington South game. But it's really what I'll remember is that postseason run where Franklin Centrum has him dead to rights. And Grayson goes off, then Grayson suffers the ankle injury, and everybody else steps up to get it to the finish line. Then you have Pendleton Heights, you're down double digits in the second half. Handle rights, then you go into Lawrence Central, another one of those fascinating contrasting styles thing. Lawrence Central riding the head of momentum after picking off Pike, and just kind of what happens there on a neutral floor. They handled them, and then again, another game that comes right down to the wire. And then the state championship game, which kind of encapsulated the entire run, where that team just does not go away ever. And I think I tweeted, you sent me the tweet because it was, again, just the fascinating undercurrent of that story was Center Grove has proven its ability to just continually come back in those types of games and win. But Norwell is built to come back in those games and win as well. So it's just kind of that fascinating what's going to happen first, that sort of thing. What's your read on it?
My read on it is that I think it was the best coordinated defense. I think they were the most technically sound defensive team. And I thought that is what won it. Like, listen, and we'll get into it, okay? But look at the last possession of the game. Like, isn't it fitting that a state championship 29-0 season by Center Grove is capped off by a defensive stop with a defensive rebound by Mackenzie Pierce? Like, it's just what they did all year was just get stops. This is the same team that scored 90 earlier in the tournament. It's the same team that disposed of Homestead in the tournament. They just guarded them. And I'll talk about some of these things when we get into that game. I thought Coach Sorbonne nailed it. I thought Kurt Benj nailed it. I thought their analysis coming into the game of what things to look for. Like as they said it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to great coaches, really smart coaches. I watched for them, and they nailed it. And so most of that stuff kind of goes back to Stuckmeyer, goes back to their identity of a basketball team. I just think it was the best defensive team. The coordination of that defense was really good, and that's what won them the state championship. So for all of the defense wins championships people, you got Exhibit A.
What's amazing too on that last play is that Center Grove does such a good job of forcing Norwell into kind of panic mode because it takes them so long to get the ball in, to find Saul Frank open. And she actually does pull open on that shot. But I think she rushed it just a little bit. I think there was still a couple seconds left on the clock, but that's because of Center Grove's defense, I think, in that they forced them into that. And two, on the Norwell side, Center Grove, I think, had been over pursuing a little bit on those 3-point shots. So that's what they're looking to take advantage of. I talked to Vanessa after the game. That's what she mentioned too. And looking at the replay back, they got it. Like, that was an open look. And I thought for sure that she was going to hit that shot. Like, when it left her hand, I was like, oh boy, here we go. It's overtime. We're not getting out here anytime soon. But oh my God, that was unbelievable.
That's what they do, though. They rush you, and they rush you because they're already there because they're switching. Like, somebody asked me, like, what do you run in this situation? I was like, I don't know that anything is going to work here because Center Grove switches everything. The person that catches the basketball, like, kind of late is going to be catching it with a switch. I actually thought they were just going to put Rossworm in a downhill. Like, they had it 13 seconds prior. That shot was true, by the way. Like, that shot almost went down. But, yeah, I mean, I was wrong. It did work. They didn't go to Rossworm. They went to Saul Frank, which is, in hindsight, the correct decision because she was, sizzling really from the 3-point line, and really played well. She was the catalyst, one of the catalysts really in that run, bringing them back. Gilliard just closed out and rushed it a little bit.
So, Danny, what we're going to do is I'm going to pause the recording because obviously this isn't live. I'm at the Big Ten tournament as you're watching this now. I'm going to pause the recording. We'll bring on Borden, and then we'll start in the interviews. All right, with that, we are joined now by the Class A state champion Borden Braves. From Borden, we have Emma Hart, AJ Mallard, McKenna Mullen, Riley Rarick, Ava Wheeler, and Sarah Schleicher, as well as head coach Matt Vick. Let's start off, guys, with that ride back into town. I think I saw some of the video, but the fire truck treatment coming back into town, what was that like?
That was definitely a lot of fun. It was super, super cool. I was super excited before even the game started. I was like asking Coach Vick, I was like, if we win, like, can we please ride on the fire trucks? Like, that was something I was super excited about. But the fact we were able to kind of pull over and like get on top of it and have the trophy up there with us was super cool. And the fans, I mean, were lined up down the road and we were on the fire truck for a good amount of time. So it was a lot of fun. It was exciting to do.
Matt, for you, I'll just open it up generally. I know we've talked a lot about these seniors before, but just that group to close it out the way they did and leaving no doubt in that game. I mean, that was a really impressive and fitting way for them to cap it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty special and bittersweet. It's I'm definitely gonna miss these girls. They've done a lot for our program, and it's nice to see them go out on top. And but again, it's kind of bittersweet knowing that was their final game and that we won't have them anymore. So. They probably won't miss me, but I'll miss them a lot.
I want to start. Where should we start? I want to start with Riley Rarick. Riley, I got a question for you. So last year in the state championship game, you have a game high 18. In this one, you seemed more defensive minded. At least that's the way that it looked. It seemed like you were concentrating on your matchup with Maya Turner. You were passing down like open threes and driving to the goal a little more. Is your approach from a strategic perspective different in this game, or just talk to us about your experience as a in the second game?
Yeah, well, just Coach Vick going over scout and stuff like that, we knew that defense was going to be what would win us this game. So I was more focused on that, I think, and just focusing on matching up and everything. And then offensively, Coach Vick also did say that 3-pointers, we didn't necessarily need to shoot 3-pointers. Like, in a lot of the teams that Fremont beat, the teams that lost, it was because they shot themselves out of the game. So Coach Vick was telling us that we needed to focus on getting it to the post because we had a height advantage and everything. So I think, overall, just me not shooting as many threes and focusing more on defense was definitely because of scout. And
then I will unnaturally transition to when you did shoot threes, they were big shots. So AJ Mallard, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I mean, you hit, I think it was 3 big ones. It could have been more. Just talk to us about hitting those shots and what a stage that was, and congratulations on that. Just talk about that for us.
I just feel like for me, I just like shoot the ball. Even when Coach Vick yells at me for it, I shoot the ball too much sometimes. But I feel like in those instances, I was kind of just like, it was like I was open, I had my feet into it, and it was like a shot that I would usually make. So whenever I did shoot them, I had very high confidence in them going in, and then whenever they went in, I feel like it changed the whole game.
That it definitely did. Emma Hart, you're one that changed the game too, and I'll preface it this way: we probably had a half dozen coaches on throughout the last month or so. And when evaluating and talking about Borden, it was always your name that everyone's like, yeah, look out for Emma Hart, look out for Emma Hart. You did not disappoint. For all of those people that went into the game are like, I guess we need to watch this Emma Hart person. Just talk about the night for you.
I just knew my rebounding. Like Coach Vic told us in practice, we were going to have to rebound. That was one of our keys to winning. And I just always happened to be in the right place at the right time. And I'm always crashing the glass. And I'm always there to get the little putbacks. And my shots were just falling. And I was passing to my teammates when they were open. And there's like offense was just working for us. And I was just rebounding like I normally do. So, yeah.
Emma, tell the people what shoulder injury, and I mean just kind of like the laundry list of things you've been playing through most of this season.
I have a torn labrum in my right shoulder and a crack in my glenoid that is causing some dislocation here and there. And as of recently, they think I partially tore my upper trap.
She did all that, Danny, averaged a double-double this season despite going through all of that crap, which is remarkable. Sailor, for you, foul trouble early on, kind of threw you into the game maybe a little bit earlier than expected, but just your confidence, I guess, and comfortability stepping up in those moments. Where does that come from?
Well, I think my role in this team is to play good minutes and good defense when I'm in, take care of the ball, and to shoot when I'm open. So knowing that we were in foul trouble early, I knew I'd probably get to play more, and I just wanted to play well in those minutes I got.
Their nerves coming off the bench in that spot?
Definitely there was nerves, but I feel like last year I was definitely a lot more nervous, but this year it was our second time back, so it was definitely more comfortable.
I'd be remiss if we didn't ask Ava Wheeler Ava, congratulations on the state championship. I think this is the question that I want you to talk about. It had to have meant so much to just be on the floor. Like, I think at different times you or any of us didn't know if we were going to ever watch you play in the state championship game again, and we did, and you were great. So congratulations. But just talk about what it meant to be out there with your team.
Yeah, I'd say it definitely meant a lot. I keep telling everybody that I talk to that I wanted to come back this season, which people were trying to convince me just to wait till college so that I could get 100% healthy. But I did want to play with them, and I wanted to play in the state championship, which I knew we had a chance of going back to. So I just worked as hard as I could to get back.
Matt, I want to ask you a couple things just about the game. You know me, I always try to watch it from a strategic standpoint. Look, I thought you made things really hard on both Charlock and Turner. Statistics would bear that out. Just talk about what your game plan was coming in, and maybe it's just, hey, Riley, you have Maya. I mean, whatever it was, but those kids, you made it difficult, man.
Well, our game plan was, we were going to start man, and I wouldn't have guessed to go to 1-3-1 that soon, but we got in foul trouble. So I thought, if we did a packed-in 1-3-1, kind of like we did last year at state, that it would keep us out of foul trouble, and just our length in general makes it hard in a 1-3-1. So against man, we said we were going to switch everything just because I felt like all five of our starters, including Sailor, can guard any position. So we didn't want to get screened and then give up a wide open three. And then we didn't want to, have them roll to the basket or pop for a three. So we just made a, sense of urgency of we're going to switch everything and we're going to be right there on the screen to switch it, not give them any space. And it just worked out well. And we got in a little foul trouble. So once we went 1-3-1, it was working, so I didn't really want to change from it. And I just think our length kind of dared them to shoot it, and I think kind of the moment got to them a little bit, and they were kind of second guessing whether or not to shoot it, and we just kind of threw them off balance a little bit.
I have a question for AJ, and it's just in the spirit of levity. I heard that you were being teased quite a bit for talking about how you knew or thought that Fremont was going to play zone, which they did. And that's what you were working on all week. So this is your opportunity to tell everybody that was hazing you and teasing you. And you see Matt shaking his head. All right, AJ, tell us what happened.
We knew you were going to ask this question, and I'm just going to say we literally gave him the whole game plan, and they They didn't even listen to it. So we still did everything that we thought they were going to do. And they were giving me crap all week knowing that they weren't going to do anything. And they weren't even ready for that. And I literally told them that we were literally looking for post feeds and that we knew they were going to play a 1-2-2. And they did that. So I don't even know what to say.
Danny, you can tell who has never coached a basketball game in their life. Okay?
We still won and they didn't listen. So it doesn't matter.
Matt, AJ, that's
Obviously,
fantastic answer. Fantastic answer. Matt, I'm with AJ though. It seemed like it was always going to be zone. Just when you studied the film kind of leading up to it, I too thought Fremont was going to zone you. They did. Did they give you anything that was out of the ordinary, or did they give you everything that you just pretty much expected?
Yes and no. Honestly, we prepared for some junk defenses. We thought they might do a box and one or a triangle and two, but and I don't blame teams for zoning us because there's some games where we light it up, and then there's a lot of games where we kind of struggle. So the emphasis this week was we have to play inside out. So even if we throw it into the post, that doesn't mean we have to score off of it. Just make it a habit of throwing it in and looking in, and be ready to kick it out for a three.
For any of the girls who want to take this, the level of scouting, I mean, I've seen it now the past couple of years with Matt, but just the level of detail that goes into this scouting report, has it been this way since your freshman season, or is that something that you guys have kind of grown into as a group?
No, Coach Vic's always. Oh, okay, go, Kenna.
Well, considering I didn't play the first 2 years, but when I did start playing, I'm gonna assume Coach Vic's kind of been doing the same thing for the years they were playing. But I mean, I feel like our scouting reports have always been very they always have a lot of information on them, whether it's describing each player or kind of drawing out their plays. And not only do we talk about it, like when Coach Vic does write down the plays, we also have our JV team do the play kind of can visually see it. So I definitely think our scouting reports have always had a lot of information, if you really do pay attention to the scouting reports, you can find out a lot about the team. I think they're very beneficial.
Briley, did you want to add on to that? I apologize for cutting you off.
No, it's okay. Basically the same thing as her, but we all also watch our own film and stuff like that. So we also understand the other team based off watching film. Coach Vic puts a bunch of games on our huddle, and I say majority of us watch at least 2 or 3 of games of the other team before we play them. So that just helps us as well.
In terms of Vic's pregame speeches and speeches leading up to his state game, where did his offerings this week rank over your 4-year careers, and Sailor too for your past couple seasons? Emma, why don't you start?
This might be one of his best ones he's ever done in our 4 years.
They're lying.
Yeah. I think he was just really emotional. So it
made it more heartfelt.
It made it more heartfelt for us.
It meant more.
Yeah, but it was our last.
I don't usually listen to Coach Vic when he's talking, so I can't tell you. I mean, I can say this now without getting in trouble, but I don't know what he usually talks about.
Yeah, some people say that's why we play so bad our first quarter all the time, is because whenever we go in there and none of us listen to him, we're all just passing a chapstick.
Hey, we're joking, Coach Vic, before you turn us off.
Passing a chapstick around.
McKenna's too busy tattooing plays on her arms because she can't remember.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, Sailor, I guess just your thoughts on playing with these girls, and then for you, just your excitement now moving ahead with this program and what you guys have in the future to build off of.
Yeah, well, I've always, I've said it before, but through elementary and middle school, I looked forward to these 2 years with them. And I'm excited for next year. We're going to be up in 2A, which I think we'll do good, and I'm excited to see what that holds for us.
That's fantastic. Guys, thank you so much. Congratulations on closing out another chapter, and best of luck to you all at the next level.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Hank, for following us the last 2 state titles. It's been fun.
Yeah,
It's
been real.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been real. It's been fun.
It's been real.
I guess I could say it's been real fun.
All right, joined by the Borden seniors, Sailor Slusher and Matt Vick there for Borden state champions. They beat Fremont, by the way, 51-31, a 20-point game. I thought going into that thing that it was going to be a little bit closer. And looking back, I'm not entirely sure. Well, I know why, because of the talent that Fremont has, but I don't think I gave enough credit to Borden in that length and kind of that experience factor that they brought. Because, I mean, that length was really disruptive. And Shea Thomas and Schlescher talked about it after the game. Just it's really tough to shoot over that and to move the ball against that defense.
Yeah, I felt like in a game like that, I just felt like the depth and the balance of the talents of Borden. What I mean by that is like AJ Mallard, we talked about her threes, for example, right? I mean, her monster threes, swung momentum, at the end of periods, those are the kinds of plays that end up winning games. It's not like Mallard had, 25 or anything. I mean, she just hit the big threes at times. Emma Hart went through little stretches where like this is the best player on the floor. Ava Wheeler got around and got a bucket late. I mean, it was just really everybody. But for me, Rarick, like we talked about I think the quote that we had was like the ascension of Riley Rarick. Like she had I can't remember the exact statistic. We'll call it a game high 18 last year. She didn't shoot the ball like in the first half, hardly at all. Like it was like, and we were all talking, like the group that I was watching the game with, they're like, oh, why doesn't Rarick want that shot? Why doesn't Rarick want that shot? And then she would drive in, get a layup or dish it off to Emma Hart and something. And then somebody said to me, it's like, that's why she doesn't want that shot. Like that is a player who you could tell had played in the state championship before and played in big games before. Like she got all the help that she needed from Wheeler and Hart and Mallard, but I thought Rarick was a star. And I think she's one of the really, really big reasons as to why Borden went back to back.
She mentioned that, and I'm glad she did because I'd forgotten about that actually when Vic was scouting this game. But that was one of the things I think maybe right before they went out was don't worry about shooting the three. Get it inside and attack them that way. It was like they had the length, but how are they going to take advantage of it? And that was kind of the talking point throughout the entire week, and that was hammering it inside. And then we saw that flesh out in the box score, and you have Emma Hart finishing with 15 and 15. And then AJ Mallard ended up with 13 points, but obviously, coincidentally, despite all the foul trouble, her biggest shots are the 2 3-pointers, and she hits those at the start of the third quarter, and it's just kind of like it's off to the races. Like there's little hope that maybe Fremont could get back into that thing at the half. I think they scored a couple buckets to get it back close again, but then as soon as Mallard hit the first one, it's like, okay, here we go. And then I think it was a Rarick forces a turnover. Mallard strikes again, and it's the snowball was on and underway. And then, too, the depth of that team where Schleicher Saylor comes in the first half, plays some big minutes for them when AJ gets into foul trouble. She has the responsibilities then of guarding Grace Sherlock on the other side, did an excellent job. And then Peyton Fisk, who coincidentally, Danny, we're sitting in the hotel room as they're doing their hair and we're just kind of BS and talking. And I forget how the topic comes up, but Peyton says something to the effect of, I hope I don't have to play a ton of minutes today. And sure enough, in the second quarter, Ava Wheeler picks up, I think, her third foul there late in the second quarter, and Peyton Fisk is up off the bench and that kid steps up and hits a massive 2-pointer that gets the lead back out to 7 and kind of stabilizes things for Borden. But just, I mean, the contributions beyond those 5 seniors was just so impressive and kind of an underrated aspect of that win for Borden.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And Fremont, and of course Wheeler picks up fouls because, I mean, that was what Fremont wanted to do. I mean, yes. And look, Ava knew it, Matt knew it. I mean, we're just covering what happened in the game. Like they went after Wheeler, and so that matchup was going to be central. And that was, I'm sure that's one of the reasons why Matt wanted to create some switching opportunities. He talked about that in the interview leading up to, is because he didn't want probably not knowing what the status of the knee was going to be and things like that. But the defensive effort of Borden across the board, I keep celebrating what Riley did with Maya. But there was no like, we're going to let Sharlock get hers and Turner get hers and shut down everything. There was none of that. There was none of that. It was like, this is what you guys do. You cannot win unless Sharlock and Turner score. And they dedicated a ton of resources to getting to holding those two kids down. And I use that as just maybe a gentle transition before we get right back to Borden. But they're going to be back. Like the entire Fremont team is back. So the chances that we're going to see Sharlock and Maya Turner in the state championship again on that same floor, 364 days from now, is a very high probability. but they better be ready again, because those two kids are such extraordinary talents that you have a team and a coach like Borden and a coach like Matt Vick. They're going to try to make things hard on you, and they certainly did.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too on the Fremont side is that they're so basketball smart. And that was the thing that Shea Thomas talked about all leading into the game, was just they're able to do those more advanced scouting reports like they did against Marquette Catholic to get through the regional. That allows them, it gives the coaches some freedom in how they coach and scout things. So I think that's a big factor too to take in mind as Fremont tries to get back there, because as we've seen with Marquette Catholic here the past couple of seasons, it's not easy, even at Class A. I mean, we've had them penciled in 2 years in a row now, and it hasn't come to fruition. Credit to LCC and now Fremont as well.
Yeah,
any closing thoughts on Class A before we tie a bow on them?
No, I mean, if you're just picking up this season, Borden, they went back to back. So, I mean, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that team's rolling out of here with two of them, not just one of them.
And they're moving up now to Class 2A due to the success factor. So they're following the Lanesville path. I think it'll be a couple years maybe before we see Borden back there, but who knows? Stranger things have happened for sure.
Yep.
All right, Danny joined now by Addie and Avery Smith, Sydney Burton and Coach Taylor Drury from Eastern Pekin. They beat Oak Hill 50-32 on Saturday night in the Class 2A championship game. Taylor, I know that you were asked this in the press conference, but I'm just going to ask it now again. Just getting to experience this as a coach and a player, two different experiences, but what did you think of the experience when doing this as a coach?
The week leading up was a lot. I'm definitely someone that wants to watch as much film as possible. And, there's a lot of ins and outs to try to get, I guess all your paperwork and your forms and all that kind of stuff in. Then you got to go up to Indy, 2 days out of the week. So it was just, it was a lot leading up. I wanted to make sure the girls were very prepped. So it was a long week. But I hope the girls got to kind of experience just that fun, atmosphere that the IHSAA creates for them, and just I hope they felt prepped and excited, and hope it was a memorable experience for them.
Yeah, Sydney, Avery, Addie, we'll start with you guys and kind of just go in that order, but just how was the experience now that it's behind you? I know we talked about that a little bit going in, but just what was the entire state championship week game experience like for you guys as players?
For me, I think, it was very surreal. I mean, we spent countless hours watching film and just preparing the best way that we can all week. They're a good team, and we had to focus on different aspects than we had with other teams, because they had a big, and the other teams that we've played haven't really had that size advantage until Oak Hill. But emotions were high. It was just fun all around.
My turn. I mean, I just had a blast. It was so fun. It was exciting. I mean, it was bittersweet at the end, but it was just a blast to spend that time with my teammates, because, that was the end, and we just spent so much time together. It was so fun, and that was just an amazing experience.
Yeah, like both of them said, it was super fun, super exciting. It was a dream come true, and we talked about it, like, leading up to the week, like, this is our last game. We get the opportunity to know it's our last game. Let's go, like, make our mark, and let's go end it on a win and on a positive note, and, like, let's be crying happy tears, like, not sad tears at the end. But then, like, after it was over, it was definitely bittersweet, like they've said. Like, it was our last basketball game, but we got to end it on such a high note with such amazing girls. So that was a really special moment for all of us, I think.
You guys got off to such a fast start, it felt like, just like watching it, from the side while in between sentences. It felt like you guys got off to kind of a fast start. Did the nerves go away a little bit quicker than you thought, or were you just doing a good job stamping them away and kind of delaying them setting in?
Yeah, I think the nerves for everybody, we definitely started to feel it, like, in Borden's game when we arrived and we started watching and cheering them on. But I think being able to watch that game and, like, watch Borden and not have to play first helped us, because we were able to watch someone else do it first, and we were able to see what it was going to be like for us, and I think that really helped us.
Sydney, you mentioned their size advantage, and one thing that Oak Hill's coach talked about was the way that you guys not only doubled their big, which isn't anything new for them, but just your zone defense on everybody else around them. Did you guys make any adjustments on that side of things? Like, what did you do differently against Oak Hill than you had to earlier in the tournament?
Yeah, we put in a new defense the day before or 2 days before. that we had to work on to focus on the big. So that was a little bit stressful, but I think we handled it really well because we kind of like put somebody behind her and put somebody in front of her and just communicated where she was at all times and whether she was on the perimeter, whether she was still inside. But yeah, that was our main focus, and we've battled some teams with some bigs previously, so that kind of helped. So yeah, that was most of it.
Taylor, talk us through the defense, just what you saw, what you were looking to exploit there with the new defense, and what it looked like too.
So when she says like a day or two, like you have to think like we had practice on Wednesday, okay? No, but I got to give some credit to Coach Matthews at Charlestown. He's kind of the inspiration behind that defense. We played a lot in the second half. He ran something similar against Bryn Owens when they played Austin, and we kind of took some pieces of it in our Austin game as well. But then we ended up just kind of sticking Avery as that rover, having Sydney kind of cover the middle, and then those three guards just did a really good job on the perimeter, just taking away the three and just trying to keep them out of the paint and trying to protect as much as possible. But I mean, you can set up as whatever defense you want and put them in whatever zone or, whatever you want to do. But the girls just did a tremendous job executing and we're extremely physical with them, and just a lot of credit to them for executing what I put on paper.
So was the plan, Taylor, to extend the floor early, just kind of see how that was? Because we're talking about the defense that essentially you guys ran in the second half that has the different pieces and the individual nuance to it, but you pressed them in the beginning and it bothered them. So was that the plan all along, to maybe extend it, get a lead, and then just kind of see where you go from there? Just talk us through your thought process there.
Well, we wanted to try to – I'm sorry.
You're allowed.
I wanted to kind of put some pressure on their guards to try to make it difficult for them to throw it into the bigs, because we knew with their size advantage it would be really difficult for us to contain them if their bigs got catches on their spots. So we did try to get them a little bit sped up and put a lot of pressure on their guards, just to try to limit the amount of throws that they could get into the post. So that was kind of the idea behind that.
One more for you, Taylor, and then I'm going to ask the girls some questions. But somebody asked me in between the morning session and the evening session what happened in the 2A game, and I said it was complete domination, tip to tail. That's the way that I answered the question. That's what I saw. Did it feel like that when you were in it? Did you feel like we can do whatever we want?
I don't know. It just, in such a big game, I really felt like our defense was allowing us, to build some confidence on the offensive end, and just the pieces that I'm able to put on the floor against a man-to-man defense is, I feel really dangerous. I feel really confident with the way that our girls can attack a man-to-man defense, and so with the big worry was obviously the defensive end, where we're going to be able to contain them. When we kind of showed some promise there, I think it made me feel more confident, and definitely I'm assuming the girls as well.
Sydney, I got a question for you that played in the talking points coming into it was Cates and Daly. Okay, you were great. Had a great first half. You were probably the best player on the floor in the first half, quite honestly. I want to ask you about Eliza. Is it Starrett, Taylor, or Sydney? Is it Starrett? Am I pronouncing it correctly? Please correct me if I'm not. But I want you to ask her. I'm not sure that anybody played harder in that game than her. There's two of them. You can only guard one of them. Many times she guarded the other one. You guys were fantastic. Can you just talk about what Eliza brought?
Eliza brings a lot of hustle and just the physicality to the game, and a big emphasis was being physical with her, and that's what Eliza brought to the game. I mean, there were some fouls that were caught on Eliza that, personally, I don't really think should have been fouled, just because she was just kind of pushing her around, which she's probably not really used to it. But yeah, she brings a lot of hustle, and she just brings a lot of energy on the court too, always lifting us up whenever we miss a shot or if we just make a mistake. She just brings a lot of energy and a big part to our defensive.
Addie, you you dominated the fourth quarter. I'll go ahead and say that. I thought you dominated the fourth quarter. I think you had 4 consecutive possessions where it ended up either in a layup or free throws by you, all off of dribble penetration, off of the bounce. But if you look at your numbers, like, again, like I kind of said it when we were talking about Borden, it's not like you had 26, 27, which you're plenty capable of. You just took it over in the fourth quarter. Did you feel like that was something as the game was progressing? Like, I think I can get to the rim whenever I want. What were you thinking in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, in the fourth quarter, we went into more of like a spread out offense to kind of like not necessarily stall, but like make sure we were getting good open looks or getting to the foul line. And we really drilled that in practices, making sure we're taking those good shots. And I just feel like every time I got the ball, I could like almost see like a little path to the basket. And I was just trying to make sure I would have like a good first step to like either get an open basket, kick it out to an open teammate, or get to the foul line, because that's what my team needed in the moment. We either needed a gold shot, is what Taylor calls it, or we needed to get to the free throw line. So I was just doing whatever I could to help my team out in that moment.
It's very cool. And Avery, I think Taylor used the word rover earlier, or maybe it was Sydney that used it. A lot of times you were that rover. I mean, I can remember 2 particular steals that you got just on post entries into Cates and Daly. I mean, it seemed like your involvement off of the basketball was a huge key to the success that you guys had defensively. Avery, just talk about the night from your role and what Taylor asked you to do.
I think my role for that game was to stay attached to her. I mean, I was literally in front of her the entire game, and it was just like, that's what my team needed me to do. I needed to be in front of her so they couldn't get that easy pass into the paint. And I mean, that was the whole game plan, make it hard for them to get into the paint through the big girls. So, I mean, that was my role, and I just kind of just stuck to it. And every time I lost her, I was like, I got to go find her. I got to get in front of her, because, I mean, that's what helped us win the game. So, yeah.
For you girls, is it normally this friendly between you guys and Borden, or is this kind of a unique thing with both of you being at the state championship game?
Good question.
I mean, we have a little bit of a rivalry with being in the same conference and kind of the county, but I just love that we got to band together and like support each other, because we're 2 neighboring schools, and not going against one another in that situation, I think, helped a lot. So it was just really nice to get to support a neighboring school and someone that's just so close to us.
Can somebody catch me up on that, by the way? So just because I was getting the questions with the people that I was sitting with, I heard that you guys share a trainer. I heard that that there's purple towels waving in the red section. Taylor, can you go a little bit deeper as to what the plan was coming into it? Or was that just, hey, we got some extra towels, we're going to give them to Borden people?
Yeah. So I got together with Sean Smith, the AD, and our principal, Darren Ferris, on Sunday after the semi-state. And Sean, if you know Sean, he is super like bubbly and like super like school culture-y, and like wants to, like just very like proud and wants to like, make it a big deal. And so he was like, I think we're going to go with like red storm and purple rain. And I was like, all right, that sounds good. And he was like, I think I'm going to get with Borden's AD and see if they're on board. And of course they were. Borden's administration is great as well. But I've literally thought about this since it happened, though. Like, I don't know if the relationship between Eastern and Borden will be the same now. There's just the 6 miles down the road rivalry. They're extremely competitive. We're extremely competitive. And it's just been like a really, really tough game for forever, it seems like. And there's just now there's a little bit more of a bond there. And I just think that from here on out, we're just going to root for each other more now, if that makes sense.
They were playing, what was it? A Kelly Clarkson song was the big one from when you guys won state. So that's what you brought back this week?
Yeah. The band, I don't know when they started it. They've had it on their set list since I've been coaching there. I don't know if they added it after we graduated or what, but yeah, that song, it was like around the time Pitch Perfect came out, and everybody was like obsessed with it, and we ate it up. And I skip the song every time in my car now, but every time the band plays it, I ate it up. So
And then last one, Avery. I got the video, but I was sitting right behind the bench, and Casey, your guys' trainer, and just the moment that you two shared, just kind of that big hug, and the tears were flowing there. Just her role in helping you get healthy enough and get to this point where you're able to play. I'll just let you talk about that and what she meant to your senior season in this run.
I mean, Casey's the best. I think Borden would say the same. But I got hurt like 4 weeks before senior night, and I was like, Casey, I have to get back for senior night. Like, that is my goal. I have to get back for senior night. And she just worked me through it. And like, I mean, she's become one of my best friends because she just like made sure I was back for senior night. She made sure I was healthy the entire season. Any little bump or scrape, she was right there helping me through it because like I freak out, if that makes sense. Like, there's a little scratch and I'm like about to panic. But she just helped me through it, and it's just been like really special, like sharing that moment with her because she's helped me through this entire season, getting healthy, staying healthy. It's just an amazing relationship that I feel like we built this season because of my injury, and I'm really thankful for her.
Sure. Well, guys, congratulations again. Thank you so much for hopping on with us. It's been a blast covering you guys, and best of luck here in your next journeys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
Joined now by 4A state champion Center Grove. They finished off the undefeated season with a 56-53 win over Norwell, which I understand that I think everybody here has since rewatched at least once, maybe multiple times. Am I right in saying that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it, I'm assuming, just as stressful watching it back, even though you know what happened, just with the way that game finished, or are you guys kind of settled in now and able to actually enjoy it?
A little bit of both. It's nice to go back and to like re-experience it.
Ella, what's the experience been like for you?
Oh, I like loved watching it back, but I was literally so stressed. I probably sat and was watching it for like an hour and a half, just rewinding, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, no way we did that!" Like, or like a bad turnover. I was like, "That was such a sell." Like, I was so stressed.
So for you girls, and then Kevin, I'll ask you too, but just other than the final buzzer sounding, what was your favorite moment from that game and that just experience? Hannah, we'll start with you and just kind of work our way left to right and then up and down.
Honestly, like throughout the whole experience, I was so zoned in on just like the task at hand and like winning the game. Honestly, it took 32 minutes and it took our entire focus the whole time. And once like the final buzzer went off, that was kind of like the sigh of relief of like, okay, I can breathe now. I can take all this in now. And it was really, really exciting.
Grayson's box?
Yeah, who do you want to go first? You want to go Haley, me, Mia?
Sure.
Okay, I'll go first. I think my favorite part of the game was when Hannah made her free throws and she made both. And I feel like that really and then that made me like completely lock in, I think, for the rest of the remaining time too.
Oh, okay, to add on that then, Grayson's and one got me really, really hyped. That moment was probably one of the most hype for me.
Haley and Mia, what about you guys?
I think mine was our run we went on because I think when we were down, because I think that kind of also got the fans like back in the game, and which helped us a lot again towards the end of the game.
Mia?
Haley, go.
I agree with that because we were down and then the run really got us going and it gave us the momentum we needed to kind of just like finish out the game.
Ella, what about you?
I think going into halftime, we all like kind of looked at each other and we sat down, and obviously we didn't have the best third quarter, but we looked at each other and we were like, okay, we gotta do the things that we do every day, and we really need to focus here because, I mean, after winning 28 games, you don't want to go out playing not your best game. So I think halftime was really important.
Anna, you want to bring us home?
I mean, I agree with the run a lot. I mean, I was up, down, up, down. There was just so much going on and there was so much excitement. And then the realization when the buzzer, I don't even know. I can't even explain that feeling.
So stuck as you're watching that back, what was your favorite moment? 'Cause I'm assuming in the moment you're just kind of like blacked out, locked in, all that stuff. But watching it back now, what's the thing that you're going to remember most or enjoyed the most?
Yeah, that's such a tough question because there's so many different things and so many different aspects throughout that whole night. And obviously, the game. But I think you look at it and just as a coach, just seeing the growth of all the girls in the program and obviously the fans that became a part of that, just being able to go back and watch and just see how they put it on their shoulders and they took care of it. And that's why you coach. You coach to see the growth in your players and watch them grow up as young ladies that are maturing before your eyes. And I think that's just the epitome of it. They got to do it on the biggest stage. And I'm just so thankful and happy that they are able to receive the platform that they get out of an experience like this, because I get to see it day in, day out. Just the hard work, the grit, just all the intangibles that they put forth that not everybody gets to see. So being able to be a part of this and affording them the opportunity to do shows like this and be on the stage where there's a few more eyes on them, just for them to get to see their mental toughness and their just their willingness to do it together just shines through. And I think that's probably going to be the biggest part of it, is being able to get to see, like, my daughter's there and my kids are there. My daughter's a third grader and she just looks up to all these girls more than they even know. And just for them to be able to shine through and do that for her, but for others that might be watching to see what it takes to be successful and to be the champions in the word that it is, not necessarily state champions, but they would have been champions no matter what they did. And that just shines through. And it's just fantastic as a coach. Feel like a dad to those 12 and everybody in that program. And you just kind of get to sit back and smile and enjoy letting everybody else take in what I always get to see for 4 months and 4 years with many of them.
So my favorite part of the game was not anything to do with the 15-0 run. It was the media timeout in the third quarter. And I'm going to direct the question to Hannah, because it actually isn't shown on the telecast, so nobody can check me on this. But it stuck as, Kevin, you're good for one of these maybe every half dozen or so games where you get very demonstrative and you get after your kids and you challenge your kids. And I can read lips. You didn't cuss at all. Your hands got a little sweaty. The board kind of slipped out of your hands, I think, at one point
just
in time.
barely.
But the question for Hannah was, when Stuck was done, you were the one that stepped into the center of the circle and started talking. Can you take us into that huddle? Because you're down, I think it's 9 at the time. You come out of the timeout. Norwell scores to make it 11. But then you cut it to 6 coming out of that timeout, which was as close as you needed to be in order to put that fourth quarter run together. Hannah, take us into the media timeout of the third quarter.
Well, that was when Norwell got up, and we definitely weren't taking care of it on the defensive end. And reasonably, Coach was a little frustrated with us, but it was really just a matter of, sorry. It was really just a matter of like keeping the focus on the team and just bringing everybody in and telling them, like, hey, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to focus on. We need to lock in here and get it done, because we hadn't been majority of the entire game. And really just taking on that role of keeping the team together and like trying to be that the upperclassmen to help them, to guide them what to do in a stressful situation was what I was trying to do. And I think we really did that coming out of that timeout. We kind of locked our jaw and we got it done.
Well, that was great. It was, I think it was, for me, it was the turning point of the game. And Grayson, I'm going to direct a question to you. In that 15-0 run, everyone's going to talk about Mackenzie Pierce's 2 threes. But she bookended those 2 threes by drawing a charge on Rossburn, which was her 4th, and then getting the steal, which led to the and one that one of your teammates actually mentioned. You had a Robin running mate in that 15-0 run. Like, I mean, I think all of the talking points will be like, Grayson took it over. She made 4 consecutive big plays in a row within that run. Can you just talk about what Mackenzie Pierce did to give you the opportunity to, I guess, as people are saying, take that thing over?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say Pierce, she's always ready for the big moment, and she continues to prove that every single game. And those plays, I think her steal especially, just the way she set up the game for herself and for us to make that run in the fourth quarter was huge, and it changed the momentum of the game.
Haley, can you talk about the preparation that Center Grove had coming into it? And I'm gonna talk about what Coach Serbone said kind of leading up to it. His analysis was, I think everybody needs to watch where Stuckmeyer puts everybody and how he decides to attack the 1-3-1. If you're watching the game from a critical eye, you were one of the major things that Stuck did. He actually moved you out of the middle to create dribble opportunities for Grayson. Grayson played all 5 different positions. She brought the ball up. She was off guard. Stuck opened the third quarter with her in the corner. But you were the one that just kind of got out of the middle, and you were so effective there in the semi-state championship game. Just talk about the game plan and how new it was and how locked in you had to be in order to execute it, because Kevin seemed to change it really every couple minutes in that game.
Well, yeah, it was different because I was at the bottom and the backside was able to seal. So you either had the kick out 3 or you had the lob inside, but they didn't really squeeze the top. So it made it easier to get into the middle for Grayson so she could drive. And so the seal was just important to kick it out so she could have her shot, whereas the lob was there.
Grayson, I'm going to ask you to comment on it too. Listen, anybody that listened to the show leading up to it, it was a major storyline. Warsaw kind of created that with what they did with Bricker. Jeff Canoy stole some of that stuff. You had a ton of success off the bounce. Did they give you what you expected, or was that just something that you just did really instinctively?
I think the entire week Stuck really prepared me to be able to attack that middle off of the dribble. So I would say that I was prepared for it, but their defense is really good in that they get you in spots you don't expect. So I think it was just adjusting on the fly, and I ended up having a lot of success with that. So,
Ella, so Jen picks up early fouls. Mackenzie was in foul trouble. Stuck went offense, defense for 2 minutes and 32 seconds in the first half of the game. I've called you like a professional sub all year, okay? But it wasn't just you this time. Like, we got Kennedy Kemper minutes in the first half of this game. Everybody had to really step up in little kind of, we'll call them mini episodes at times. Can you just talk about just that's different really than what we've seen with Center Grove really in the past to really kind of get into their bench? Can you speak for everybody now and just talk about your mindset and being able to go out and execute on such a big stage like that?
Yeah, so I think it's definitely an important role. It's something that's you have to be like very mentally tough for. I think at the beginning of the season, it's hard to accept your role going into a new season every year, because every year it's a new team and you obviously have a different role. But this year, I think once I finally accepted it and I really started to just appreciate my teammates and what everybody else does for me and was able to be unselfish with it, it makes it really easy to go in with such a great team and step up in big moments because they make it so easy to play with them.
Stuck, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into it. So
Sure.
You're moving Grayson around. You start her at the point. You heard my comments. I mean, she played all 5 positions. You even occupied the middle with her to try to get her. You tried backside post with her. Coming out, I think you thought that you get corner 3, so you move her into the strong side corner, one of the corners. You moved her around. Was that the plan, or were you just reading rotations as the game went on?
Yeah, the plan was just to put the different people on the court in different spots that they could be successful. Norwell does such a good job with their trap. We didn't want to hide Grayson in the corner all game and her not touch the ball. Lils is a lefty, Hannah's a lefty, Pierce is a righty, so we moved Pierce to the left side of the floor, more in what would be the traditional 3 spot, even though she's been in the 2 spot all year. We put Lils more on the left, whatever you guys would call it, the top of it, so that she could attack with her left hand and find sides. We put Grayson more at the point. We just really wanted the top to get downhill. They just play on the side of the hip so much that we really needed to attack that. And I thought if we could convince Grayson to do that, that the middle of the zone was one-on-one, which she's seen all year. I mean, she's seen it 1,000 different ways. I went back and watched the Pendleton game, and I know you've talked about it. She literally had a triangle and 2 on her for about a minute and a half there in the fourth quarter and had 2 people just facing her. So to go into that zone, it just looks different for our girls. but it's nothing Grayson hadn't seen. So if we could get her downhill and keep the ball in her hands, plus the way we ran our zone offense and just a normal, if we hit the wing, we wanted to flash kind of from the top, just so they could see where they were going. But I think the biggest key was moving Haley low. I think if you just put her in the middle of the zone and just kind of stands there, then you don't have those gaps to punch. But Haley, I don't know. You'd have to really go back and watch that game. We missed her probably 15 times for layups, which I'm not surprised at. I knew it would be difficult for us to see there, but we did hit her maybe 3 or 4 times. So that was one of our big emphases of her sealing the backside wing as Grayson maybe drove that top gap, to put that wing in a bind, because you knew the middle person was going to step up to Grayson, and they had to make a decision, Pierce or Ella in that corner or Haley sealing. And Haley did a tremendous job, and probably an unsung hero in that regard of just doing her job time and time and time again. And I think that led to several offensive rebounds for her, and for our team. And I think our offensive rebounding really kept us in that game. But yeah, we had to move her around, Grayson and everybody around, just based on how we were playing, based on just how we were attacking. We had to get Hannah up top in the fourth, because Hannah did a tremendous job in the fourth quarter of attacking that gap, not necessarily to shoot it, but started to break them down and make them have to get into rotations. She got Lils on the wing. But yeah, it was a little bit of a read of them. Grayson was up top all first half, so we moved her to that wing just to kind of give them a different look and see what they would do to react to that.
Let's take it to the other side of the floor real quick. This will be my last question for you, Stuck. I could talk hours about the adjustments in that game. So Kurt Bench kind of said that I had it wrong. He didn't say I had it wrong, but he redirected me. I was talking about how the switching and the paint congestion was the key to stopping their dribble drive and what to watch. He said, no, I actually think it's the individual performance of each player. Like, those are really good defenders. Like, they're not going to have to bring as much help as you think they are. Kevin, you hear Kurt Bench say that? He was right. It played out. You guys guarded really well. What's your reaction to what he said?
Yeah, he's not wrong. Obviously, we pride ourselves on guarding somebody with a person and a half at all times, with what we call early help in recovery. Norwell reminded me of the old Franklin teams. They love to shoot the three, but they shoot the three unconventionally off dribble drive, as they obviously run, and you overhelp. They put you on what we like to call skates and make the extra pass, and then you're over rotating. So we put a lot of emphasis on our girls to guard one-on-one without overhelping. So we called it early help, but not overhelp, which isn't different than what we're supposed to do. It's just more of an emphasis that if you don't do it, Norwell's a team that's going to make you pay, like the old Franklin teams had. So we had to guard them one-on-one without overhelping. And yeah, I think especially in that fourth quarter, our girls kind of settled in and did that. We had to trust that once they drove it, even if they got by us a little bit, that our one-on-one defender would get them turned. I mean, they like what we call flip the hips, get to that middle of the paint and really score from there. But that's our identity too, to guard you one-on-one and make you earn it and make it tough with wall ups. So it was kind of their best versus our best. And honestly, for 2 to 3 quarters, they were getting the best of us. But these girls on the screen right now, they just have a will to win, and they locked in when they needed to and really made it tough for them in that fourth quarter.
Me and Anna, I'll ask this very broadly, but tell me about the bench. What is bench mob or bench squad?
Bench mob. We call it bench mob, and we love it so much. Like, our role is like keeping everyone hyped, keeping everyone going, talk everyone through it, and I think we do our job very well.
I would agree.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that it's just, I think on the bench we just have to like do the things to give them energy too throughout the game, and just be there for them to support them from another kind of angle.
Of your guys' celebrations, and I'll ask you two first, and we'll ask the teammates. What is the best of the celebration that you guys got? Because I think I've seen quite a few during games over these past few weeks.
Definitely when we hit a 3. we kind of do like a thing where we like throw our like leg up.
The Heisman.
Yes, the Heisman. That's what it's called.
Is that your favorite two meet, or you got another one?
Yeah, especially when Anna told me I really had to do it on Saturday. So
For everybody else, do you guys have a favorite one of their celebrations? And two, just speak to their importance and the energy that you guys bring them. I mean, they're on another level Saturday night.
Oh, I don't think our bench gets enough recognition as they should, because as big of a role as they are for like cheering and supporting us, that whole week they contributed to giving us looks. They basically learned how to play Norwell's 1-3-1 and gave us that look constantly in practice, and almost gave us a better look than what we saw like from Norwell. And that's so important when scouting for a state championship team. And we had like Lily Harrier and Aubrey Waltz like gave us really good looks from their shooters by like shooting it deep, shooting it off dribbles, and just the look and like the look that they gave us to prepare for them. It goes really unnoticed to everybody when you're playing in the game, but they had a tremendous role behind the scenes.
Well, Ella, do you have a favorite of their like celebrations, things they do on the bench?
Honestly, I don't think I have a specific favorite because in the moment I forget everything. So I think my favorite, definitely Saturday especially, was when Mackenzie got that steal and then Grayson followed her and got the offensive rebound, and then Ann won when we were in our little stretch. And I literally just got up and just screamed. Like I just felt like on top of the world. There was no specific celebration. I was just so hype.
Grace and Haley, I mean, the crowd that you guys had was unbelievable. Grayson, I saw a bunch of your volleyball teammates in the stands. I know Jen's been with you guys throughout. I think she went down to a birthday party from Jasper, back up for a birthday party, and then back down for the championship game. Just for both of you guys, just the support that the community has given you guys during this run.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially that you mentioned the volleyball team. They have all been so good about coming to support, and the basketball team was vice versa for the volleyball season. So I've been really blessed to be part of such great teams with such great girls. And Jen, especially in this basketball season, she's been to every game she can. She even wrote me a letter before we got on the bus for state, just like hyped me up, and it was really sweet. And especially in the community, we just had so much support this season, especially in this postseason, and that's been so important.
Grace and Vanessa Rossworm, you had a chance to play against her. Obviously, a lot of talk about the two of you going head-to-head. You both put together phenomenal performances. If you could just speak to what you saw from her and what it was like playing against Vanessa.
Yeah, she's really solid from all aspects of the floor. I think this week I really tried to focus on shutting her down from her outside shot that's been super consistent for her this season, and just getting her to put it on the floor and trying to beat her to her spots, even though, she shot it over me. She gets those layups. She gets her shoulder by, and she's just crafty like that. Her game is super solid. And, that team does a really good job of getting her in the spots where she performs well. But I think my teammates really helped me on defense with that early help, and we were able to keep her under 30.
Stuck, it seems like, made an effort to make this as much like a regular game day as he could, like all the way down to the timing. I wasn't sure if you guys were going to come out of the locker room in time, but I guess that's just what you do on road games. Did that help settle the nerves at all going into the game? Whoever wants to start, I'd be curious for your guys' perspectives. Ella, why don't you start us?
Okay, I think, I love the timing management that Stuckmeyer always has. I mean, he just thinks about like all the little things, and it's like all the little things that you wouldn't normally think that would stress you out, they do stress you out. So when he goes in there and he comes in and he talks to us and he settles us down and he's like, okay, go warm up, and that buzzer goes like, you're ready, you're prepared, and he's done that all season for us.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's very much like a structure and a system, and having that consistency and following it each time is really beneficial. And before like the game, he really tried to make it like feel like a JV varsity game by getting to watch the 3A championship. And I think that was really beneficial. The extended timeouts were a little weird for like the media timeouts, but it was an extra break, so that was kind of nice.
I just wanted to ask, so Stuck, so what Hank is talking about for the audience that might not know, I think the send-off from Center Grove, I think was about 6:15-ish, maybe 6:20-ish. The Norwell kids all came and sat in the section. I looked at my clock and I was like, the Center Grove isn't even leaving their school for another 20 minutes. Very, very different strategies, Kevin. What led to that? Did you talk to somebody, or is that, I mean, the girls are all talking about it and how it really helped them. Just how did you arrive to the decision to come really just for the 4A game?
I mean, we had an advantage because we were a half hour away, so it was pretty much just a road game. So it's a little bit different if you're Norwell and you're sitting in a hotel for 2 hours. If you ever have gone on vacation and you sit in a little tiny hotel room, you're like, hey, let's get out of here, let's go do something. But when you're sitting at home, you can kind of just make it a normal day. I just thought we could make it as normal a day as possible for them. Plus, it's a long, emotional, draining day. If you get there too early, then you might peak too early. So I just thought, let's leave it. We were going to leave at 6 when the 3A game was supposed to start, but then they gave us a sheet and it looked like it was like the national championship game or whatever on TV where they say it starts at 6, but it doesn't start till 6:12. So I saw that and we just figured we'd get down there right before halftime of that 3A game and then get settled and then come out, watch the second half of it. Plus you knew they had all their ceremony stuff afterwards. That was going to be a half hour. You couldn't shoot beforehand, so you're just stuck sitting there. And I just thought that could be emotional draining for them. Could just be out of the ordinary for them. And obviously nerves are a thing. So let's just get there with a fair amount of time to get settled, sit out there for the 3A game. We could kind of get a feel of the arena when it's not a pressure-packed situation for us, and we can go back in and just kind of get locked in and prepare like we're supposed to, and just, again, keep it business as usual.
Haley, I'd let you have the floor and just talk about these seniors and what they've meant to you now in your career, and I guess just this run with them and what that's meant to you.
All my seniors are very special to me because we kind of sat down at the beginning of the season or like what we wanted out of this season. And I think we pretty much accomplished that. And I think it's so special that we're so close and we get to do it with our best friends. And I think they just mean a lot to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for hopping on with us. Congratulations again on the championship. It's been a blast covering you guys, and best of luck to you in college. And Haley, obviously, I'll be seeing you next year, and Stuck you as well. Thanks, guys.
Yes, thank
you.
you so
Thanks,
much.
congratulations.
Bye.
All right, that was Center Grove with us. We're going to try and get this show, get back to recapping 2A, because obviously we got a little bit of, we ran the interviews obviously back-to-back there. So let's talk about the 2A state championship game there again. Eastern Pekin 50-32 over Oak Hill. I would say as surprises go, Danny, that one was probably the biggest one of the day. I think it's fair to say. I'm not sure what would be bigger, but I mean, it's just the continuation of that Eastern Pekin run where they kind of found their stride quietly late in the season when they got kids healthy, specifically getting Avery Smith back and just her presence on the boards. And she comes back. The other kids get to go back to their regular spots, but they go back to those spots with the added knowledge, the experience of playing in these other positions. So now suddenly you have a much more well-rounded, a lot more diversified and balanced lineup. And we see a team now that found its stride and caught fire at just the right time, and they're state champs.
So you use the word surprise. I think it is a surprise, just independent of anything else, that Eastern Pekin won the 2A state championship. But I think it's the manner in which they did so is the surprise for me. Yeah. Like, I used the word complete domination when we were talking about the interview, and all due respect to Oak Hill, they were fantastic. What a run, well-coached basketball team, and deserved everything that they had from an experience perspective coming down there. But whatever metric you wanted to use to evaluate Eastern's performance, it seemed like it leaned toward purple, like free throws, second chance points, like they were all over the offensive glass.
Yeah,
like the offensive glass was supposed to be an advantage, or the defensive glass was supposed to be an advantage for Oak Hill. Instead, They get all the second chance opportunities. And really Burton and Starrett in there. I got the name right there. So apologies to the Starrett family for mispronouncing that earlier, but it just so active on the offensive glass. So we talk about free throws, rebounding, turnovers, points off turnovers, right? Yep. So say championship games, like teams are going to turn it over, but can you convert those into points? And the telecast, when you watch it, is talking about how there was a significant advantage toward Pekin. 3-point shooting. Listen, everything. Okay. Top down. I just thought it was complete domination. And quite frankly, I don't want to use the word boring, because I actually was very engaged in how they were doing it from how they were dominating the game in so many different facets. But it looked so easy. Like it looked so easy for them. It almost looked boring to Eastern.
That's what surprised me so much too.
Yeah, so that's just my reaction to the game, just all in all, and I think it comes from a place of how much respect I had for Oak Hill coming into it. But Eastern is I mean, that's what the 2A champ does, and that's why they're the champs.
I think that's what it was for me too. It wasn't anything against Eastern; it was just respect for Oak Hill, and not even overestimating them. It was just underestimating Pekin, frankly. And I mean, it was dominant. I mean, they negated that height advantage that Oak Hill had. That's what I thought was going to be the deciding factor. But you heard Coach talking about how they changed their defenses, and at the end of the game, they out-rebounded them 35-26. They held them to 8 offensive rebounds, only 4 second-chance points off of those offensive rebounds. And then on the other side, they generated 14 second-chance points of their own. Eastern did. Yep. I mean, that's really impressive against a really talented Oak Hill team. But I think, too, it goes back to, and this is maybe something that I underestimated going in, but just the value of experience. I mean, those are a lot of seniors that we just had on the show from Eastern. On the Oak Hill side, they're going to be good for a long time to come, because it's a lot of young kids who are going to be back, but there's a lot of value and experience, as we've said throughout this month, and we saw it play itself out again there with Eastern, and just how quickly they're kind of able to settle into that game and start going punch for punch.
Yeah. Sydney Burton was great, particularly in the first half. And again, it kind of out of the respect for Oak Hill and what we thought Cates and Daly might do in that game. Sydney Burton, I don't know what she's probably had 10, I think, in the first half. Like, it's,
yeah.
How many did she have?
I'll look it up here real quick. Sorry.
Yeah. So she scored the ball. She rebounded the ball. She was defending either Cates or Daly in that action. She was really good. But I used that as a transition to get into talk about Addie Smith. Like, I thought Addie Smith, quite frankly, regardless of what the statistics say, dominated that basketball game. And I do so on the measure, like I measure that on this. When she had the ball, Eastern looked like they were in complete control of everything that was going on. Like that's not something that you can stat. Like that's something that just happens with just a very small percentage of kids. But in the fourth quarter of that game, again, I talked about it when we had the interview with the girls and Taylor. Like, she had 4 consecutive possessions where she just got to the front of the rim, strong on right hand, and either got free throws or a layup. Like, she was so good. She was a closer for me. And we saw this dating all the way back to when she was playing against Bryn Owens, all through the postseason run, and we saw it again. I think I would go as far as to say this. I think two things happened in Eastern's run. I think, number one, I thought Addie Smith got hot. Like, I thought she just was playing at another level. And then I think the second thing was, I think Taylor was just so good in the postseason. Like, Hank, I mean, we could, and I'm not going to belabor this point, because if you watch the show, most of the Eastern people that's who's going to be watching this segment of it. So, but like, we recognize that these were individual, unique game plans to each opponent in each game that was installed in the week to prepare. Like, we just celebrated Stuck for that, how unique his game plan was. Taylor's been doing this all year. And so I thought you saw a player get hot. I thought you saw a coach get hot. I thought you saw all the pieces kind of fall in around him. And then you get performances that you got, like from Sydney Burton, for example. Then we say things like complete domination in the 2A state finals.
Something too that helped with that game specifically was who they closed the season out with, and I think we talked about them maybe a little bit on the show, but they closed out against Silver Creek and they closed out against Borden.
Right.
Two very big teams, and obviously you can't predict who you're going to play in the state. You're not, you can't look too far beyond sectional, obviously, but looking back, that experience played a lot. I asked the girls about that in the press conference. They said it kind of gave them a little bit of confidence. And then again, on the other side, I mean, Oak Hill, it feels like the North is going to run through them and Whitco again next year, given who Whitco has coming back, given who Oak Hill has coming back. That's going to be a really fun little battle to track there between those two teams.
Sure will.
Any other closing thoughts on 4A? I forgot we opened the show with 4A, so we could just move to 3A if we wanted to.
I mean, I guess it just breeze over. I mean, like the points, like Gilliard, like the Gilliard Rossworm stuff, like the Center Grove and Norwell stuff, like that was all great. But you couldn't keep your eyes off of what Rossworm and Gilliard were doing back and forth. At least I couldn't, right? And Gilliard, look, I don't think either of them had their best stuff. Like Gilliard didn't hit a three. She was like Gilliard smoking layups at the rim. Okay, like, but they found in little stretches what they've done all year. They found ways to find these little pockets of dominance, right? Gilliard, one thing that she does really well is she operates in the middle of the floor in traffic really well. And that is something that and we talked about the success that Warsaw had against Norwell in their 1-3-1. And a lot of that has to do with like Bricker's pull-up game and how comfortable she is in the middle of the floor with help coming from all sides. Gilliard's the same way, like that little hezzy that she did. But like if Rossworm's three goes down, the one that she shot on the walk-up three from the logo that would have given him a 1-point lead inside 20 seconds. If that goes down, it doesn't take away from anything that Grayson Gilliard would have done up to that point. So having said that, I don't think we can take anything that Gilliard did and forget about how great Rossworm was.
No.
But those two kids, like, I've never been the best player on anything, right? That has to be so difficult to show up in an environment like that when all the eyes are on you and all of the scheme is centered around stopping you and things like that. I mean, the girls are talking about it like they've got girls emulating what they do in practice, things like that. That's not unique to Center Grove. Norwell did the same thing, I'm sure, with G. But those two kids put on a show, and I think they are the reason that people say that this was one of the best 4A games that they've seen in a while because of the performance of those two individual
They
players.
were unbelievable. Vanessa was incredible. Macy saw Frank was as well. But you're right. I mean, the best players in that game were the best players. And that's what made it so great was that they just big shot after big shot. Obviously, they didn't shoot for a super high percentage, but that's pretty rare to see in those championship games anyway, especially Cambridge Fieldhouse, the sight lines, the lines, and all the stuff that we talk about. But just a phenomenal game.
There's a lot of people that texted me that thought the game turned on that play. Not the timeout that I spoke about, not the beginning of the fourth quarter, not the movement of Gilliard. They talked about how Rossworm picking up her fourth was the play. I mean, we know it at least made a 2-point difference because she didn't contest at the rim when Gilliard had the steal on the uncontested layup. But that's what Center Grove has been all year is they do it on the defensive side. Like they draw a charge, and then the other after the 2 threes by Pierce, she makes the layup. Now, if you remember, Haenchen actually said it that her favorite moment was the Gilliard and one when she came back in when Gilliard was talking about what her favorite moment was. She's like, no, the Gilliard and one was my favorite moment. Let's not forget that was on a Mackenzie Pierce steal where she dribbled the length, smoked the layup. Gilliard grabs the offensive rebound, puts it back, then gets the and one that gave him a 2-point lead. She converts the free throw for a 3-point lead. They go on to extend that up to a 10-point lead in that 15-0 run, all because of Mackenzie Pierce. But for me, and again, I just everybody knows that I was going to do this on this episode, and I just want he was really, really, really good. Like that plan that he had was so good. Like because people, and you have to give a little bit too. Like when you take Wagner out of the middle where she had so much success against Lawrence Central and put her in this is ironic, in what Dribble Drive calls the dunker spot. So you're putting her behind the defense. You want to create as much space as you can in the middles to be able to widen that gap for Gilliard. And Haenchen was super successful in getting in there as well. But what you have to do is you have to take the wings and push them up against the sideline. Sideline was dead in this game. Like it was dead. And when they didn't have that, and when they didn't have a play to be made in the middle of the floor, because that's where they were getting their middle touches. They were getting it off the bounce and not off the pass. They would throw the ball to the wing, and that's what led to many of their turnovers. Was the wing is dead because you're pushed up against the sideline, and now two Norwell people are trapping you with the sideline behind you. To have the patience to continue on through the game, it shows how much confidence and preparation that Center Grove and Stuck had maybe going into that game. It's like, listen, we're gonna lose the battle to win the war kind of stuff. And I thought it was just really, really good. I thought he had a very good game plan. I thought his kids executed it really well, particularly on the offensive side and attacking Norwell's 1-3-1, which is a big storyline coming into it.
I think two of my favorite plays in the game were Haenchen rebounds early in the first half. I think where she comes down.
The one where she went to the ground.
The one where she comes to the ground, the other one where she kind of, and I don't think it was intentional, but she basically gets kind of flung around a little bit, but still hangs on to it and forces a jump ball. Like, that's like quintessential Haenchen right there.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that kind of keep in the game. Ella Sprong came up with a big 3-pointer early on that made it a 5-point game. And it just kind of stemmed the tide for Norwell. It doesn't show up. It isn't a factor in the game score when you're writing that thing out. But in the grand scheme of things, it did kind of stem their tide a little bit and keep that thing from really getting out of hand when you see the entire body work. So again, just that's what amazed me about Center Grove so much, man. It's just everybody in their roles. And we talk about that a lot, but then you see it in this stage and just everybody does everything to such a high level. Their execution is elite all the time. It's incredible. It really is.
Well, and it's not just that, like, a lot of what a coach needs to do throughout a game is just all you're trying to do is just give your kids advantages so they can succeed. Like, you know, and Stuck is not somebody who tries to control everything. And some might say that he does and all of that. But like, for example, offense, defense for 2 minutes and 32 seconds in the first half with Grayson Gilliard sounds ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But you tell me if fouls were, I mean, we just said it. Like, fouls were a big deal in that game. The fourth on Rossworm, Gilliard never really had that where it's like, oh, well, she can't do this because of fouls. And you date back to, or you look back at just the offense defense, and you can say, well, now you're taking your best player. Now there's no rhythm, and she's probably expending more energy running back and forth to the table and off into the bench. Like, but he was protecting the third foul. And the protection of the third foul allowed her to be able to make plays, particularly on the defensive side, with aggression. And so those are just those little things that coaches do throughout a game that stood out to me. That and look, Stuck's not the first guy to go offense, defense, okay? But in the state championship, that you can't miss stuff like that, and he didn't miss it. The timeout, like that, like to have a demonstrative timeout. No one will ever really see it, I guess, unless anybody was watching it. The Center Grove section was behind the bench, so I'm sure somebody has it. But the timeout was really, really, really energetic. I mean, he is in. I mean, I could tell, like, I mean, just from his line of sight, I think I could tell who he was talking to. I think I could tell kind of what he was saying. But for Haenchen to like come in there and just like Grayson Gilliard, if you watch that timeout, she has her Stanley or her Awala or whatever it was. She's just like sipping water. Like, we're cool. Like, we're good. But Stuck knows how to he knows how to push the buttons of his kids to get performance. And he took a big risk in that moment to push that particular button of getting in their face and having a demonstrative timeout. And it paid off in spades.
And I wrote about that in my story too after the game, because he was in the huddle there and it looked like the players had this look of just kind of like they were just, well, we gave it a good run. You know, that's fine. And his words after that were, we didn't just come here to make a good run, and that's fine. You know, he said, we weren't sure if we're going to win, but we didn't want to go out like that. And that's kind of what inspired them. And I think Grayson alluded to that too in her answer, but just then he said, you know, credit to our girls. They did what they've done all year. They have a will to win, and they took care of it from that point forward.
Yep.
Lee gets out to 11, and then we all know what happens from there. Just remarkable stuff. Really fun to watch. Yep. Class 3A state championship game.
Let's do it.
Bellmont 55, Roncalli 46. The Bellmont's first basketball title, boys or girls. A game that Roncalli did a really good job of fighting back in. I think they took the lead a couple times late, or not late, but in the second half. but I'm not sure if it ever really fully felt like a game that Bellmont was going to lose. And that's a testament to them and just, I mean, how talented they are.
I agree. I felt like it was Belmont's game kind of all along. And it wasn't just when they were up 21-10. They got it from so many different places. Like, I marvel at their balance. Like, we talked about Mary Blakey coming into the game. Sydney Parrish talked about her on the telecast when we interviewed the kids. I mean, Andy was talking about her, so on and so forth. But everybody, from when we asked that question to Bellmont people, we're very quick to talk about somebody else, right? I think we gave the opportunity for Andy to select somebody to bring on when we were talking to Bellmont earlier in the season in an earlier episode, and he brings on Kate Kitson, right?
Yep.
Like, that was the first clue to me, being like, this is more than the Blakey sisters. Like, I need to study this a little bit more. And as you were watching it, Lainey French, big baskets, Kate Kitson. She gives me Reagan Wilson vibes, by the way, like the way that she just controls everything. Mary Blakey, like they're running like pinch post. Like, they're running stuff with Blakey that Jokic and the Denver Nuggets run. Like, that's what they're doing. Like, they're throwing the ball in the pinch post to Mary Blakey, and then they're running split action around it. Like, Andy, I talk about Stuck and these coaches all the time. Andy it belongs right there in that conversation for how he has managed and coached this basketball team all year, with some of the advanced things that he was doing. But the design of that offense is to create space for different players. But I credit the players for just, that's the way that it looked in the sectionals. That's the way that it looked in the regionals. That's the way that it looked in the semi-state. That's the way that it looked in the state championships. What they've done all season is just be super balanced and getting production from really everybody. Ani Krukenberg, like, how good was she? Like, and just making shots. Like, so it was just everybody from the Blakey sisters to Kitson to Krukenberg, Barton coming off the bench. I mean, Lainey French making threes. Like, we could literally talk 5 minutes about one individual player and all the things that they did, but there was like 5 or 6 of them.
4 different players scored double figures. You had Ashley Blakey, Oni Krukenberg, 13 apiece. Mary Blakey had 12. Lainey French had 11. Kate Kitson had 3 assists. Ashley Blakey had 7 of them. I mean, just everything. And then the way that they closed that game too. I mean, that was impressive. They go 6 of 9 from the field in the game when shots are kind of hard to come by in stretches. 7 of 8 at the line. And then 2, and you're going to love this, and we were texting about it, but 7 for 20 from 3. And I think that was second best on the night, second only to Norwell in terms of overall 3-point shooting percentage. And part of that was because Andy had them watching the game, the Class A game on TV over lunch, and he had them in person for the 2A game watching from up top. And the entire time was just stressing the importance of getting to that second 3-point line, getting and shooting from the high school range and making sure that they were running their stuff from the proper spots. And that wasn't a thing that happened in the first 2 games. And to be fair, none of the 4 teams that played before them are super sharp 3-point shooting teams. But still, we talked about a lot with Sid. It changes a lot when you're running the offense from different spots. So it was something really big that Bellmont hammered on, and you can tell it kind of paid off there in how they performed.
Hank, I agree. I'm not going to call out other teams, but I thought other teams got duped again by the line. Yeah, like Ashley Blakey's 3 that gave early in the first quarter, like 4 minutes left in the first quarter, was an inside-out penetration, maybe from Kitson. I can't remember who it was. And she towed the high school line. Like, her entire body was inside the college 3-point line when she shot it. It hit the front of the rim, kissed the backboard, and dropped through the net. Okay. Like, I'm not going to turn this into a physics experiment, but if you could get 3 points for shooting 5-foot shots, then you would shoot 5-foot shots to get 3 points. You don't need to complicate things by making them a longer shot. And it's really interesting that there was some commentary about that in some of the press conference with the media, because I thought Andy had his kids maybe best prepared of any of the 8 teams to toe the correct line.
Yeah, and it's interesting, though, because it's not like the other people ignore it. Like, I asked Stuck about that after we were hanging out in the locker room, and he said that Thursday and Friday practice, they had the lines taped out around the court.
You're Stop.
Yeah.
That's
so it's
awesome.
like, it's not like something that the schools are ignoring. They are just, first of all, it's young people. Second of all, it's the big moment, the big stage, and it's, one more thing to think about. In the first 2 games, it was a lot of shooting from way further away than they had to.
It's just weird. Look, I've never played a basketball game on Gainbridge's floor. I think it's the color. I mean, I just go by what players tell me. Like, when you use your peripheral vision to space you out, like, And one of the reasons why, and we're not being critical of the IHSAA, I know we have been, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
have been in past episodes, but I mean, it was a big storyline last year when like Zartman was running the flare actions on their circle series with Warsaw, and she was catching the flares out of bounds. It's because because they were setting the screen in a different spot than maybe they had ordinarily been setting that screen. But back to Bellmont and this 3A game. You know what was really impressive about Bellmont in this game is that Roncalli zoned them. Like I don't, and not to say that Jason, I don't know if that was his plan going into it, but that zone kept him off balance. And it almost looked like something that, and I know Andy's ready for everything. They're the state champs. They have answers for all of the questions that you could raise in a basketball game. Okay. They looked bothered when they went there. It was almost like they weren't expecting it. And in fact, it was so effective that Jason came out of halftime where you have at least 10 minutes to make adjustments to the game plan and the game flow. He came back out and started the third quarter in that same zone that tightened the basketball game up in the second quarter. So Bellmont's ability to understand how to be comfortable with that, I thought really helped. And then Roncalli ends up going man later in the half and at the end of the game, and that's when that kind of 5 out and that little. I mean, it's all like a Princeton based stuff, like on that pinch post stuff, like. They were just is super effective. But, last point, I think on Bellmont, like for me, 12-12. And I don't know if we're going to have Mary on the show, but like 12-12 in that game, Hank, seemed like 24-15. Like 12-12 in that game for Mary was an all-star performance. And so, we talk about Gilliard and what she did. We talk about Ross Worm and what she does. Mary was really good too. And it was 12-12 and very dominant, at times. But with her, just the attention that she draws, man, like, where is she? Like, is she on pinch post? Where is she on strong side block? Is she setting a ball screen? What are we going to do on the dribble handoff? Like, she puts so much stress on the defense and trying to figure out how you're gonna guard all those different actions that Andy runs for Bellmont.
Yeah. On the Roncalli side, Elliot Leffler gave it everything, 22 points. I mean, she again was doing everything she could to get them back into that game. Down the stretch, just didn't have quite enough. But you tip your cap. It's a really good Bellmont team that they lost to.
Yeah, and I think both Jason and I would also throw Elliot in here too. Like, I think those two particularly were so good that it kind of masked some of the things, quite honestly, that Bellmont was able to maybe expose in this game. But yeah, listen, and she was like, when she hit that first three, like, and screw the second line, like that thing, like heels were on the sideline on that one, the one that made it 5-0 early, and it was true. Yeah. Like, you're like, oh, maybe this is just going to be Leffler's night, man. Like, she's coming back yelling, in just excitement. But yeah, she was really good and deserves more than a shout out, but we can at least just give her that.
Yeah. Third quarter there too. Brenna Cerny had 3 points in the night, and that 3 points was huge because it tied the game at 31. They hit a couple free throws. Then Ellie comes back again with another 3-pointer. I don't think it's something you were talking about, but another 3-pointer to make it a 4-point game late in the third quarter. And I mean, just big play after big play after a couple of duds to start the day in terms of final score. It felt like we were in for a good one, but then, like I said, I mean, Bellmont's just closing ability is unbelievable. But I mean, it's feasible that we see Bellmont back there again next year. And I know that the 3A South is loaded, but Roncalli too returns a lot. Obviously, Cathedral stands in the way as a big threat out of the South, but Roncalli brings back Elliott, which is a great piece to start with.
Yeah, I was going to say you can build around that, especially the performance they had. We've used a lot of adjectives. I'll close the Roncalli for me. My thought. We've used a lot of adjectives to describe Leffler. Toughness probably needs to be the first one from here on out. As long as she's a high school athlete in Indiana, I thought she had a legacy game. Like, the kid can't walk, and she's just trying her hardest to bring her kids back. So toughness. Tip my cap.
That was awesome. Good for Elliot. And she's in for some big things. We're going to take a break here, Danny and I, and we'll be back in a little bit with Bellmont. All right, now bringing us home, we are joined by Caitlin Barton, Laney French, and Andy Heim of the Bellmont Braves, Bellmont state champions with their win over Roncalli. Caitlin and Laney, I want to start with just your guys' preparation the day of the game and what Coach did and getting you guys there early to take in the 2A game and then also watching the Class A game on TV. How did that kind of help you guys not only just settle in, but kind of get acclimated with the different challenges of playing at Gainbridge Fieldhouse presents? Laney, I'll let you start us.
I think being able to go to the 2A game really saw what the atmosphere was going to look like. We got to sit up high, so it really was cool to see like the whole stadium with it kind of halfway filled with the fans. I think that really helped us mentally, calm our nerves and prepare for the game throughout the day.
Caitlin, from a shooting perspective, how did that kind of help for you guys running the offense and kind of getting into your sets from the proper spots and not playing off the college line?
It helped, like Laney said, like kind of calm down, and it kind of prepared us for how loud it was going to be because it was really loud.
Andy, the thought process behind that, was that something you kind of came up on your own? Was it something that was recommended to you? Just talk us through your process on that.
Yeah, so as all the coaches had said, at the meeting on Wednesday, there's people that we reach out to. I reached out to, I can't remember which one it was. It was either Rod Parker at Homestead or Mark Redding at Carroll. And I said, look, we've got, the sort of the X's and O's part covered. Obviously, we're going through what we need to do. We're going through Roncalli. Like, give me some things that you guys would suggest. And one of them, it might have been Redding who said it over at Carroll, and he said, we found some success just calming the nerves of going to the earlier games. I'm like, oh, well, that's a good idea. And then I know we talked, after the game, and not only did it calm their nerves, I think it just showed how deep people were shooting. And we're like, well, obviously we don't want to do that. So that sort of was like just sort of a nice bonus that we got when we got there early too.
Laney and Caitlin, when you walk in there, I mean, the 2A game was nuts. Like, that was a huge crowd. But then for your guys' game and the crowd that you have, I mean, what's going through your minds when you see just the massive number of Bellmont fans lined up for you?
I think that first off, it shows like how much people really truly care about not only our team, but like Indiana basketball as like a whole and like girls basketball as a whole. It was really cool to see how many people showed up and the support that we get. For me, one of my biggest things was like being able to like come out of the tunnel at the beginning before our game and just like looking at the stands and seeing like, wow, like this is amazing. Like just taking it in was really like just breathtaking. Like, I can't believe we made it.
Caitlin, what about you?
Honestly, I didn't really know we had that many people like gonna come to our game, but it was amazing just to see like the support. And Emily's sitting right here and she wants me to give her a shout out. So yeah, she did great.
That's fantastic. Something else that Coach talked about after the game was just like, I think it was the middle of the week. It seemed like you guys were starting to wear down a little bit, and he wasn't sure if you had enough in the tank, Andy. I apologize. Is that kind of the gist of what you'd said in our press conference? Was just kind of worried about tired legs setting in a little bit?
It wasn't necessarily tired legs. It was just like, leading up the sectionals, regionals, semi-state, I never really heard the girls say, hey, this is a lot. There's too much news coverage. We don't, even in our own area, we don't necessarily get covered a whole lot. We get mentioned here and there, but it's not crazy television time or crazy interview time. And that during that week leading up to state, it just seemed like the girls sort of just were over the whole, we're going to talk to people, we're going to bring the news in, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. They're like, we just got to get on the court and play. And yeah, honestly, it worried me a little bit because they hadn't done that in any of the previous weeks.
For you girls as players, was that kind of just starting to wear on you? I guess just talk us through your perspective on what it's like to go through all those interviews, all the TV, and everything that goes into playing in a state championship game.
It kind of got to be a lot. We had quite a bit of news people coming into practice and interviewing all the girls. So I think that mentally, like having everyone ask us all these questions and stuff, like, it kind of does rise the nerves a little bit. So we kind of just, at practice after, they would leave and stuff, we just have to remind ourselves like, hey, we're doing this, we're going to win, like we're going to play for each other. And like, we just have to go out there and play our game.
Caitlin, what was the most frequently asked question across all the interviews?
probably what was the most like turning point in the season.
What was the most turning point in the season?
I feel like there wasn't like a huge one for us. I feel like we all just like started, like we knew our goal at the beginning of the season and we all just kind of like rode with it.
Well, when did you know that you were going to be this? When did you know? I mean, you can have those goals. Everybody has the same goal poster, okay? But there's only one team that wears blue lanyards on the end of the night in your class, and you guys are it. When did you guys know that that's a reality, or that you knew, hey, we're the best team in this class? Andy, you start.
Oh man, I thought you were going to ask one of them. You caught me off guard.
My bad, Dan.
Let's see. Girls, help me out. What game was it where I wrote all the numbers on the board and said this is our trip to the finals?
Well,
What,
I think it was definitely a home game.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what game it was.
You know, I try not to mention it. You know, these girls hear the buzz. You know, we're at one point in time, we were ranked number 1 in the stagger and in 3A. And you know, everybody's like, hey, look at this. And you know, we're drawing votes in what was it, 15 or 16 or 17, somewhere around in there in the whole entire state and in all class. So we started to hear it and we tried to not mention it and we tried to just keep going with our business. But it was probably 5 or 6 games left where I'm like, all right, well, you know, this is the point in time where, you know, if we mention it and we have a slip up, it's not going to be that big of a deal. So I wrote, you know, 3-1, 2-1 up on the board and said, you know what this is, and this is our trip to the finals right here. And you know, sort of after each one, we just sort of checked a mark and put a check mark next to the number and said, all right, let's go get this one. And that's kind of just how we rolled through the rest of the season.
That's very cool. I have some game specific questions. I'll kind of intermix and ask you guys kind of individually. I'm going to start with Andy. So Mary Blakey started, you said you don't really get covered, and you got Sydney Parrish with her, whatever, 250,000 social media followers talking about this and that about Mary. And then she talks about her all through the telecast. 12-12, assess her performance. It seemed really, really good. Andy, tell us about her.
Mary's one of those people where you just sort of go about your game and you glance up at the scoreboard and you're like, oh man, Mary's got 15 points. And I bet she's got close to 10 rebounds and, you know, how many steals, how many blocks, how many assists and all those. So she's just sort of a stat filler. She does everything for the most part, just quietly. Like when Sydney talked to her after practice, she was amazed. Mary was amazed that, you know, like, she's like, why would Sydney want to talk to me? And just, she doesn't get it. And, you know, that's not just Mary. That's our whole team just sort of doesn't get how good they are. And no matter who says it, it just kind of, they're just kind of like, oh, whatever, you have to say that. But it's wild to just sort of, you know, watch them progress as players. But yeah, we talked about it. You know, we've talked about it for probably 2-3 months about just, you know, being aggressive and getting offensive rebounds and going to get the ball. And you know, Mary's just so strong and so athletic and so balanced in there. She's just, you know, a tough person to box out.
Caitlin, I'm going to let you tackle this one. And if anybody else has anything to add, then that's fine. But everyone is marveling at your balance. You get to be the first one off the bench to spell, you know, Lainey, the sisters, Kate, Ani, and everybody. But, you know, Andy was talking about how you look up and it's like, whatever, 15 and 10. But then you look up at the box score at this one and it's like 12, 11, 10, 9. Like everybody seems to do. Can you just talk about the balance and what is it with the culture within that Bellmont locker room that just, you guys can all just do it together? You guys just all do your role.
Yeah, like everyone is so selfless and we all just want to win. So, and it doesn't really matter whenever, like, well, whoever scores, because we all know that you're not always going to have the best night for shooting. So, and we need to rely on other people too, obviously. And I think being selfless is a key part of our team.
Lainey, I thought everybody on Bellmont looked extremely confident. You guys could have been playing that game in the auxiliary gym in Bellmont, but your movements and your shooting and how quickly you were getting into your defensive assignment after a made basket, you were one of them. Ani also looked, I think she just looked really, really confident. Kate always looks confident, but just talk about where as a team, maybe your collective confidence, where was that on Saturday night?
I definitely think that the start of the game, it was definitely our offense. But I think what I like most about this team is that our confidence on the offense comes from our defense. So we play, we strive for picking them up full court or putting a press in, and we're really good about getting back and then hopefully getting a stop and then going back to score in transition. I think that is what helps us build, first of all, our energy as a team. I think that we're tremendous at that. I really love to preach to our teammates about, being hype on the bench, being hype, after just a jump ball for the littlest things coming together as a team. I really preached that at semi-state before we went into the locker room to warm up. But I think that just being there for each other and bringing that energy on the court, on the bench, I think that's what really drives our confidence as a team.
Andy, I thought early in the game, now some foul trouble kind of led to it. I'll ask the zone question here in a little bit, but before we get into that, you run really good stuff, man. I kind of joked with you off air that you got a new fan in me. You seem to use Mary Blakey the way that the Nuggets use like Jokic, like pinch post area. You allow her to kind of play point forward for you, put her in dribble handoff actions. It is really, really good. Can you talk about your just offensive philosophies and relay it particularly to this game? Because you took a 21-10 lead. You got some foul trouble on Roncalli, chased him out of the zone, but you were cutting him up, and man, you had to feel really good about that, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think that a handful, we don't necessarily have the luxury of just sort of being like, all right, this is the offense we like. We're going to sit in it and we're going to run it forever. It's not realistic for the high school that we have and sort of the participation that we have year in and year out. And it's been, what's it been, Lainey? 4 years since Haley was here, 3 years. We had a post player who ended up going to Trine and playing in Haley Cole. And we're like, well, athletic post who can shoot the three. Let's put some Stanford sets in, and we sort of ran with it. And then, we just got lucky that Mary grew a few inches and, plays that role. No offense to Haley, probably even better. And now we've got, 4 guards that we can add some different things to our Stanford sets where it's not even necessarily me. It's just these girls sort of making reads, running off Mary, giving handoffs and things like that. We have some sets here and there that we'll get a couple of handoffs, but we tried to tell the girls, coming into this year after our postseason meetings last year, I just watched a whole bunch of videos of girls that said, their AAU coach lets them play free, but their high school coach, holds them back and all that. And I didn't want to be that, especially with these girls. So I said, look, you see something we don't, just do it. And credit to them. And they kind of fly with that. So it works out in twofold. It makes me look good, but it's really just them just sort of making reads off of some things.
Well, I can tell anybody that doesn't know that Stanford action, when you throw the ball to the pinch and you run those split action kind of around it, that is all read and reaction, whether it's a rejection of the screen, whether it's a curl. You're really good, but then you're chased out of that stuff. You're in zone. And Andy, I have to ask you look really uncomfortable in the second quarter. What were the steps that you took to settle your kids down and just get, hey guys, it's a zone offense. We're good. Just tell us about that moment in the game.
I think we've had those moments kind of all year. If you're going to ask the girls the same question, you can see what they say. It just seems like, to start, they're not quite comfortable, and it just takes them a couple minutes to sort of find that comfort area and find those weaknesses in the zone, and then they get it, and then we're all right. For me as a coach, when we came over for whatever it was, media timeouts or a timeout, I just thought that Ashley and Mary could have both sort of just jab stepped one way and gone the other and cleared a lot of space for our shooters or for whoever else. And that's what we talked about. And we've talked all year on just that reversal attack that we need to get a little bit better at, where we can find some holes in that zone also. And I thought that, going off of what Lainey said and what Caitlin said about picking them up full court, I thought to myself, they're going to get tired eventually. They're chasing us in this zone where Ani and Kate are bouncing things out. Barton and Lainey are looking to shoot. They're going to get physically tired, and they're going to have to come out of that zone at some point in time. And that's when we thought we had a bigger advantage.
So he passed it to you, and I'll just arbitrarily pick you, Laney. He passed it to you, so catch it and run with it. They go zone on the floor. What's happening?
I think that as soon as like we as a team see them go zone, I try to say like, hey, they're in zone, and we usually just go into we have 4 guards up top. We'll cut through, work to get it into the post. We really focus on getting into the post, letting Mary do her job, and then she can kick it out to our shooters. But really just getting movement on offense and finding the holes in their zone.
Caitlin, this is my last one before I throw it back to Hank. So we had Andy, and we were covering Bellmont in a previous episode. This is like over a month ago. Andy will remember this, and I think we gave him the option maybe to bring a player on. He brings Kate Kitson on. Can you just give you the opportunity to just wield the bouquet for your point guard?
Yeah, she keeps everyone kind of like level-headed, because I know me personally, like I get kind of just like everywhere, like in my head and just like bouncing around, and she kind of is just there to like remind us like what play we are running and like kind of just calms everyone down.
So Laney and Caitlin, now that it's all behind you, what was your favorite part of this championship game experience?
I think that just here, like after every little thing that we did, obviously like good on the court, I think just hearing our fans cheer for us, and then obviously like just after the game, celebrating with each other, celebrating with our community. I think that it's just like, it was so exciting for us to see how many years like our hard work has, like we've worked hard, and to see it all pay off to win the state championship.
What about you, Caitlin?
Yeah, I agree with Laney. And then I also really liked all the raps before the game.
You're gonna have to explain that one.
Yeah,
too.
we
If
need the
you're gonna
backstory
throw it
on
out
this
there,
one.
you
Yeah,
gotta
I'm
explain
interested in this.
Okay, so every postseason game, Laney and Hadley would make a rap for us on the bus. And then this year, Faith and Sandy Buzik, our bookkeeper, did make another rap for us, and just like the vibes were just so fun.
Laney started her rap career her freshman year. We were playing sectionals in Mechaniqua, and we had never been, so we went down there and practiced on a white bus. And it's like, I don't know, an hour and 45 minutes. She's like, guys, I got a rap for you guys. And we're like, okay, all right, freshman, take it away. And it's just picked up steam ever since.
Laney, what's been your finest work so far? Like if you had to rank like your top 3 raps, which ones are you going with?
I definitely, so the first 2 years it was just me doing it. I'd go up in the front of the bus and I'd hold the like bus mic, and I made the whole rap the night before. But this year I had the idea of bringing Hadley Caffey on, and it started off like that, for sectionals, and then once we run regionals, she was like, oh my gosh, you know what we need? We need a karaoke machine. So Hadley bought a karaoke machine, and we started, doing all these raps together. And then I think my favorite one was ending the rap right before the state game. I made one for that morning to just kind of like get us hyped for the bus. And then I made like a really long one right before we got off to go to Gainbridge. And I think it was just like me and Hallie looked at each other when we were done. We were like, I can't believe like this is our last one until next year. But I think it just really brings us together and gets us hyped before the game.
So is this your way of telling everybody on the show who's listening that you're not going to do one for like the team banquet? Like they don't have that to look forward to in a couple weeks?
I actually did do one my freshman year for the banquet.
Yes,
That's an incredible. I guess team traditions go. That might take the cake. I tip my cap. That's incredible. Oh my god,
this is great. This is gold. Laney French. This is great. I love it.
Oh my god. So you're obviously one of the longest tenured coaches at this year's finals. Just for you to have accomplished this dream. I know that we'll talk about next year in just a second, but just to get this moment, what has this meant to you? What is it like to experience now as a coach?
It's been amazing. I obviously like For me, it was really just these girls and watching their faces and you asked them what their most memorable moment was, and mine was, I'm sure, the same thing that you guys are seeing, just sort of how calm they were on the court. Like all of them just taking shots, like you said, like it was in our aux gym and we're doing a shoot around on a Saturday practice.
That's what it looks like.
It's pretty wild to me that they can sort of block the noise out and they can block the pressure of a tie game going into the fourth and just sort of handle their business, the way you would think. And on top of the fact, like, yeah, you're right. Like, I'm sure everybody puts down like, yeah, we want the goal to win the state tournament. But like when Ani and these girls, Ani's the one that stuck out just because she put, I want to win state with my friends. And that one really stuck out to me. But like to say it is one thing, but to say it and then, come to practice every single day, ready to go, come to practice every single day, working hard. Like,
yeah,
that's the completely different thing. And that's what all of them do. For all 12 of them, I give all of them credit that they come hard to work.
And to perform. Ani was great. Like, she was awesome on Saturday.
Yeah, you said the same thing to Borden. Like, like you asked her, like, why do you think, coach would bring on Kate? Well, it's the same thing with Barton. Like, I think that out of our lineup, Caitlin and Kate are probably the two that, might not show a whole bunch of things on the stat line game in and game out, but like as calming presence as Kate brings, like Barton brings the energy that's just as much. Like I compared her when we were going through scouting reports to number 2 on Roncalli. Like, other coaches are telling her girls, don't let that girl get excited because she's going to, be the excitement of the team. So like that's just as big as a calming presence in my idea.
Yeah. How are you adjusting to the fact that you just won the 3A state championship and you return everybody? It changes the narrative of what Bellmont is all about now.
Yeah, it's going to be great because we all know how everyone plays. So we all know like who we need to go to when like a game is tight and when other people aren't going to be good. And I feel like it just gives us as a whole just like confidence that we can do it.
Lainey, obviously you want to cherish the moment and enjoy this and continue soaking it in, but does part of you kind of start looking ahead to like, hey, we got the pieces that maybe we can do this again next year?
I think being able to experience the run in the postseason, I think that is a motivator for the following season. Like, hey, like this was a lot of fun. It's fun to work out at a practice, and make the season longer, get to spend more time with each other as a team. So I think that's a motivator. Like, hey, like let's do this. Let's make this a year thing. Like, let's make this our thing. We're going to go to state. But obviously, like, like Haim said, like, we didn't really talk about it during the season. Like, we went game by game and used that as our preparation and our motivation for the postseason.
Andy, now, how do you go approach next season? Obviously, it's still ways away, but how do you approach that and just making sure that these girls are ready for that second shot of the title? Is it scheduling different? What do you do differently, I guess? How are you thinking in those terms?
We're running out of teams that we can schedule that are hopefully going to give us some competition with all that we picked up last year. For me, I think we can get better. And that's going to be my message to them when we start talking in postseason meetings and at the banquet and all of that. I think there's pieces that can get better. I know Kate referenced Grace Hunter sort of starting this whole run off in her post-game interview at Gainbridge. And something that Grace did was she brought a new aspect to her game back after every summer. It's a post-game, it's a 3-point shot, it's a this. I think that just some confidence for us and different parts of the game for all these girls and a couple of additions of people who I think can bring us good minutes next year. Like I think we can get better, which, again, we're not going to come into, I'm not the type of person that's going to come in and be like, day one, hey girls, let's go win state here in 4 months. We've got a gauntlet that we got to run through in conference. No one likes to lose to Norwell. So that's going to be high on our priority list of things to do. But again, it's, you can't get looking to the very end at the very beginning. There's so many steps, there's so many pieces that have to fall in your place. So I think we're going to enjoy this and then, hopefully come back next year and just get better.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for hopping on with us again. Congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Congratulations.
All right, that was Bellmont here on the scores table, and that, Danny, is the season. We'll be back with a Miss Basketball episode. We've recapped all the championship games. We thank everybody for watching. Any